Yeah, so it was back then. It was just the LGB. I think it's the only letters it was. I think they added T later down, and it was a it's very liberal community. Protests, and they had a lot of walks, and a lot of everyone in the community gathered around that, and they fought for what they believed in, and they fought for it with everything they had. And I joined in with that, and it was very comfortable, and I felt like I was doing something important, and there was a sense of unity in that. But any time that you came against that narrative, you were shunned, and you were kind of cast out to the side, and you weren't given much attention. So it was kind of like a machine. As long as you stayed in the machine, then you were accepted. And the culture with this machine was, we're going to do what we want to do when we want to do it, and we're going to avoid all consequences. Consequences don't apply to us. And so after living this lifestyle for a while, you kind of feel invincible. Like the rules don't apply to you. They never have, because you're in this protected community of this machine. And drugs were really big. There was a lot of drug abuse and alcohol abuse at the bars, at the clubs. Even at brunch for breakfast, there would be, and I was included in this, would be a lot of drug use at 9 o'clock in the morning at the bars, that serve brunch and different things. And it was just really ingrained into the culture and really accepted, until you reach the point where it was considered abuse or severe addiction, or if you were able to function in your role in the community, whether it be your job or your social life or whatever, as long as you could function and keep that going, you had no rules.
Okay. So the sin, quote unquote, is going over the edge and maybe losing your job or ODing, but as long as you can party, use drugs, have sex with whoever you want, as long as you can do that without losing your success, I guess, then it's okay. But if you fall, I would think people are falling off of that, off the edge of that all the time. But
yeah.
And then when that happens, do you become shunned then, or do you just wait for them to rehab and come back again? Or
yeah, there's a lot of that where if you can regain your social status and your social standing and your career and housing and everything that you need to look a certain way and fit a certain image, then you're accepted.
Okay.
A lot of times when you get to the point where you fall from that, you really struggle with getting back into society like you once did.
Yeah, it sounds like a tightrope, like you being a drug user and ignoring rules with sexual ethics. It seems like you're bound to tip over and fall at some point.
Yeah. And everyone does, but no one talks about it because everyone they turn the blind eye to it. Partially because they don't have to deal with it,
The whole air of invincibility, like you were talking about.
Yeah, and then the other is shame for having, been susceptible to harm or to falling.
Interesting. Okay, so you were in that for a long time. So what happened? It sounds like everything was on a certain course, and so what happened?
I started doing one particular drug, and it was meth. Occasionally, we were, out at the bars in Vegas, and everyone had cocaine, and we were there for multiple days in a row. And once the cocaine ran out, we didn't know what to do. We didn't plan this very well, and so someone had some meth with them, and so we all, just for a one night event, this is a special situation. We don't normally do this. We did it. And for me personally, it put me back into a lifestyle that was a little darker and deeper than I was ready for. And over the years, it got to be where I was out of control.
Okay.
And finding myself a daily meth user.
Okay.
And with that increased all the other sins as well. My greed increased, my immorality increased, my sexual promiscuity increased, and then my lack of caring increased. I didn't feel like there was any consequences, and if there were, I didn't care.
Yeah, it's interesting how meth does that. How it desensitizes you to like being a human being almost.
Yeah, and it gives you the false sense that you're in control when you're clearly not in control of your situations, but it makes you feel like you are.
Okay.
And so that's a real evil in it.
Yeah, I wonder if that's a sign of all addiction. It's just more pronounced with meth or with drug use. Our addictions give us the illusion of being in control.
Yeah.
That's
I think
actually really interesting.
Yeah, I think it's also an increased spirit of pride and rebellion. I was so rebellious and I was so proud, because I'd gone away with it so long, and I was still getting away with it, even though my whole life was crashing around me.
Yeah, and you have the outward signs of success. You're making money.
Mm-hmm.
You got all these friendships and these relationships. And okay, so what happened then?
Well, I always considered myself a high functioning drug addict. If I was a drug addict, I was a high functioning one because I was able to keep it all together, until I wasn't, until I couldn't keep it together. And my work was starting to fail. My personal relationships were starting to fail. You know, it became that drug hurt cycle was my new God. And I wasn't a believer in any other faith, but I was putting everything I had into this belief that this drug would keep me safe. And I thought my friends would be there for me through it all. And it was too much for everyone to handle. You know, I could do any and every drug with them at the bar, at the club. I could drink in excess. I could do whatever I wanted, sexual promiscuity. And, you know, people would take my calls. Everyone wanted to talk to me when I saw them. They would be excited to see me. And then I went from that to a place where no one would take my calls. People would, try to evade me, and no one wanted anything to do with me. And that was really hard.
Because you weren't following the rules anymore of that culture. Yeah, you fell out of it.
Yeah.
And it probably became much more clear, the rules, once you cross them, so now you're getting shunned by your group, which is probably the best thing that could ever happen to you, I think.
Honestly, yeah.